what we are going to learn how to build today is this sort of tri-fold easel card. So it's like a three-way collapsing. I'm sure you've seen like the single one where it's like an easel card that pops up and then you put something here to hold it in place. And this one's just sort of three of them built staggered, one on top of the next on top of the next, and they do collapse down to fold into one flat unit that you could put in the mail or, you know, easily transport and give to somebody or store. So without further ado, let's get started in creating this super cute card. So you need, like I had mentioned earlier, but I'll say again so it's on the recording, you need 6 sheets of paper to create the base of this little card, and then from there you would be able to embellish and decorate as you wish. But for the base itself, you need 6 sheets of cardstock. You need one that's 12 inches by 6 inches, 9 inches by 4.5 inches, 7 inches by 3.5 inches, and then you need 3 squares that are 6 by 6, 4.5 by 4.5, and 3.5 by 3.5. Once you've cut those 6 sheets of paper, you can set the 3 squares off to the side for a minute, and the first thing we do is take our 3 rectangles that we've cut, the 6 by 12, 9 by 4.5, and 7 by 3.5, and we're gonna score those. So let's start with the 6 by 12. You're going to take your 6 by 12 sheet of paper. I just realized I was on mute this whole entire time. Holy smokes. For the video, you'll be able to hear what...
Not the whole time you were in, Chantel, only a couple seconds.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, I don't know how that happened. But good, that's good. I'm like, how did no one tell me I was on mute this whole time? Anyways, so once you've cut your 6 sheets of paper, you will put the 3 squares off to the side. We'll grab the 3 rectangles, and we will start with scoring. So I'm gonna take this 6 by 12 first, and all 3 of them we're measuring lengthwise. And we're gonna score in half, and then we're gonna score that half and half. So for the 6 by 12, you're gonna score it at 6 inches, and then at 9 inches. Or you could do from the other side and go 3 and 6. But you're gonna score it in half, so you'll score it at 6 inches, and then you'll score it again at 9 inches. And what that's going to allow you to do once you've done those score lines is you'll be able to fold it in half. So then you have a 6 by 6 square, but it's a card shaped 6 by 6 square. And then you'll be able to take one of those halves, the one that you put the score line in, and fold it in half again, which will give you this nice little sort of shape. And again, we accomplished that by taking our 6 by 12 and scoring it at 6 inches and at 9 inches. And then you fold in half, and then you fold that half in half. Once that's complete, we will do the same thing, but the measurements will be a little bit different for the next one down. So this now is the 9 inch by 4.5 inch rectangle. You're going to score it in half, and then you're going to score that half in half. So you're going to score it at 4.5 inches, and then you're going to score it at 2.25 inches or 6 3/4 inches, depending on what direction you're measuring from. And same thing, that will allow you the ability to fold it in half. And then you'll be able to fold that half in half. It's just a slightly smaller version of the one we just did. And then conceptually, it'll be the same thing one more time, just a slightly smaller version. So this piece of paper now is the 7 inch by 3.5 inch rectangle, and we're gonna score it in half, then we're gonna score that half in half. So we're scoring that at 3.5 inches, and then at 1 3/4 inches, or if you're measuring the longer way, it'd be at 3.5 inches, and then that would be 5 1/4 inch. So that you're able to fold it in half, and then fold that half in half. And that should leave you with 3 staggering little, whatever you would call that shape. You should have 3 of them exactly the same, just each one a little bit smaller than the last. So far, so good. Awesome. So then you will take your 3 squares. You have your 6 by 6, you have your 4.5 by 4.5, and your 3.5 by 3.5. And each one of these is going to fit one of these 3 elements that you just made. So obviously the 3.5 by 3.5 square is going to fit onto the 7 by 3.5 inch rectangle that we've scored. And you're gonna glue just 2. So if this is the piece that we've just created, this front facing piece here, that's where we're gonna adhere this square to. You're not gonna glue it onto this whole surface, just only the front half. So that when it's stuck up, you can see that this is not adhered at all, so that it's able to pop up like that. And then when it collapses down, it lays flat, just like that. So I'll quickly do that. I just have Easy Runner here, but if I was doing it if I hadn't run out, I'd be using score tape, but I ran out, so I'm just gonna use an Easy Runner. And just like that, we have our first of 3 little bases. So we'll do the exact same thing. Again, obviously the math would explain itself. The 4.5 by 4.5 inch square is going to fit onto the 9 by 4.5 inch piece of paper. Same thing, you're only adhering to the front half of this square, because if you glued it to the whole thing, then it wouldn't be able to pop up when you folded it up like that. So you're just sticking glue on the front part. All right, so that's 2 created, and 1 more to go. Leaving the 6 by 6 square being glued to the 6 by 12 card base. All right. And once we've assembled those 3 base units, now all we have to do is assemble these 3 units to one another. So the way that I did it, to make sure that even if I, screwed up a little bit with these folding measurements, like maybe I accidentally scored it a little bit wrong and it actually winds up being 3 1/8 inch instead of 3 1/4 or whatever, I still wanted to, my number 1 priority was to make sure that it still will fold flat. No matter what, you want it to be able to fold flat so you can mail it or easily store it or gift it to whoever you're making this for. So in order to ensure that it's going to fold flat when it's all done, what you want to do is we'll start with the smallest 2. So take your smallest square that you have glued the square to the rectangle. So you've created this easel element. It's all glued together and complete. Now you have, when you fold it flat, there's this little, you've created this little pocket here. And then it can only go so far because you've glued them together. So you're going to fold the front of this pocket where you've glued the 2 together into the pocket you've made there. And it will only let it go that far. That's how you know how far to rest it, so that when you collapse them on one another, you know that that's how far you can put your glue to adhere the 2 together. So you're only going to want to put glue on this part and then stick them together. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure if I followed that. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I can tell that this is not an easy thing for me to explain, so I'll try it again. So you have this piece here, and you have this piece here. So if you take the small one, and I'm gonna just pick something, like I'm just gonna put this glue pen into this seam here so that when I collapse it, it like stays open, you know which part of it I'm talking about. Then I'm going to take my next size up. So you have this here, you're gonna grab it by the part that lands on the ground, like this right here. This is 2 pieces of paper glued together, and I'm gonna slide them into this part. Like sandwich them together. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see, like, don't worry even about what you're gluing yet, just put the 2 pieces together like that. I think you have it, Julianor, like that. And then when you squish them all flat and flip it upside down, even with a pencil, you can draw a line there, and that will show you where you're gonna glue the base of this card down to the base of this card. Just trust me and take a pencil and just draw a line across there. So just, you've collapsed the 2, and now just draw a line there. You flipped it upside down, you did everything that I did, and then you collapse them and flip them upside down. Just take a pencil and draw right along that line there. So now, I'm gonna do that too so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'm even gonna use a red pen. Okay. So when all 3 of these are stacked, like the bases are glued to one another. They're all attached. Like this is one solid piece, which means I have to glue the base of each of these cards to the base before it. So here on my small one, this is my smallest one. Now, Julianor, you should have a line that you've drawn on the bottom of the small one. Is the pencil line there? If the pencil line is there, yeah, you're gonna put some glue on that part of your rectangle. So don't put glue past your pencil line. Just put some glue. Just like that. Like take them apart from one another, like dismantle them again. Just, you're only holding your small one. Flip it upside down so you can see your pencil line that you've drawn. And just put some glue on the half that has like this half here. And once you've got glue on it, then we'll adhere it to your other card and we'll see if that makes sense. Oh, I hope you didn't do what I just did. I put glue on the wrong half of my pen line. I hope you did it on the right half, but if not, we can just cover up paper and try again. So once you've put your adhesive down, you can use your pencil line and you're gonna glue it to the base of your second one up. So not your biggest, you're gonna take your middle size card and you're gonna take where your pencil line was and glue it down. Centered. Maybe I'll quickly cut it in another color so it's easier for you to see too. Does anyone else have any questions?
Just because I came back on the 3.5 one.
Yes.
3.5 by how long?
The rectangle was 3.5 by 7.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chantel, can you show me how you drew the line, like where you drew the line at?
Yeah, you betcha. I'll just refold these ones so I can, because I just glued those together. So this is my small one. This is my medium one. So I'm taking my small one and I'm collapsing it inside my medium one so that this piece fits into there and they can sit flat.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you glue this piece too far back, then when you interlock them, they won't lay flat.
Okay.
So you have to make sure that you've given yourself enough room for the layers to interlock.
So then you turn it over and you.
So yeah, you interlock the two, like you take the top of this one into there, lay them flat, then you flip it over and just draw a line right there.
Okay.
And then you'll know that that's how far in you glue it when you go to actually stick it down.
That's what I was missing.
Yeah. And Julianor, how are you doing?
I don't know. Flip it over.
You're still on mute, Julianor.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit confused when the line was drawn. Like I'll copy what I'm seeing, and hopefully.
When have you glued two together?
Not yet. Just I wasn't sure if I did it right. So okay, so 3 triangles. Sorry.
Yeah, no, don't be sorry. Like once you get it, it makes perfect sense. But I'm really bad at coming up with words to explain like things like this.
That, and it has to flatten like that.
Yeah, as long as you've given yourself enough room for them to interlock with one another and lay flat, then you should be safe to glue it down. And once you've figured that out, for anyone who is following along and they've mastered that, you can go ahead and then do the same thing with the bigger one. So you'll make sure that the two can interlock again, just like the other ones. And then glue it down to the big one. And then when that's done, it's going to give you this, just without the decorations, it's going to just give you this base piece right there. Then you can decorate to your little heart's content. I put to good use the demo that I did earlier with the moose. I think it looks pretty darn cute.